10 Great Details in Popular Movies. Some movie scenes have such a huge impact the first time around that they warrant a rewatch, or 30 rewatches. These include the shower scene in Psycho, the "You Are a Toy" scene from Toy Story, the "He Slimed Me" scene from Ghostbusters, and the training montage in Rocky. Often, awesome lines punctuate these types of scenes and lead to fans reciting them whenever the opportunity presents itself. This list are some of the most beloved scenes in movie history, some accompanied by great lines, guaranteed to induce at least a goosebump or two. Avengers Assemble. Watching the final battle scene in Avengers Endgame has become bittersweet after the sudden passing of Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman. It was revealed in 2019 that the Black Panther originally had a longer fight sequence against Ebony Maw during the last battle scene, but it was ultimately cut when it didn't truly fit in with the Iron Man and Thanos build-up. The scene where Black Panther appears for the first time after the snap does have the potential to make one teary-eyed, however. The look that passes between him and Captain America says more than words could, and the line Avengers Assemble is the perfect way to kick off the fighting after all the lost heroes return. Audience's reaction in cinemas during the original screening says it all. Things are gonna be different now. For many years, fans have laughed, cried, and marveled along with the characters of the Fast and Furious franchise. When Paul Walker died in 2013, there was an overwhelming sense of disbelief and shock that reverberated across the world. The filmmakers were faced with some tough decisions as Walker's passing happened during the filming of the 7th movie, and ultimately, they decided to let Brian O'Connor go, but not in the tragic way he did in real life. With a heartbreaking montage at the end of Furious 7, friends and fans were able to say goodbye to Walker's character. The scene, accompanied by a Tejika song courtesy of Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, is summed up best by Teresa's character, who simply says, "Things are gonna be different now." Light as a feather, stiff as a board. On a lighter note, some iconic movie scenes don't have to be tragic or deep to make an impact. It just has to connect with its audience. In a time of teen flicks galore, along the lines of Clueless and many others, The Craft came along and instantly cast a spell over audiences. Its plot centers around female friendship and empowerment, and, of course, witchcraft, and the movie became a surprise hit after its release in 1996. One particular scene in the movie sees 4 teenage girls trying out a spell during which one of them is levitated off the floor by the other 3 who are chanting the words, "Light as a feather, stiff as a board." Close quote. The whole setup is about as 90s as it could possibly be, but the scene still has the power to enchant a whole new generation of viewers all these years later. Day-O. Beetlejuice is still one of the weirdest films ever made. It has ghosts who can make their heads do weird things, creepy intro music, a strange affinity for calypso music, as well as a handbook for the deceased. And then of course there is the infamous dinner scene where all the guests get up to involuntarily sing Day-O while doing peppy dance moves and hitting themselves in the face. To add to the weirdness, hands emerge from the plates on the table and push the guests off their chairs. Good luck getting the song out of your head after watching the clip. Did you feel that? The water rippling in a glass and a young boy asking, "Did you feel that?" pretty much encompasses the feeling of dread that the unforgettable Jurassic Park T-Rex scene was going for. The growling of the T-Rex builds the tension even further. The expressions on the characters' faces when they finally spot the massive dinosaur perfectly rounds out this Steven Spielberg classic scene. Spielberg got the idea for the scene after listening to an unnamed Earth, Wind, and Fire song in his car with the bass turned up. He noticed his rear view mirror vibrating and immediately knew what needed to happen. Parting the Red Sea. Prince of Egypt is an underrated hand-drawn animated gem produced by DreamWorks. It follows the story of Moses on his journey as he tries to get his people freed from slavery. There is compelling family drama, excellent animations, fantastic music composed by Hans Zimmer, and a whole bunch of highly memorable scenes. One scene that will probably always leave goosebumps in its wake sees Moses parting the Red Sea so that his people could escape the approaching Egyptians. The parting is preceded by a giant fire column meant to deter the Egyptians, and a pensive moment as Moses wades into the shallow water before raising his staff. He hears God speaking to him and then strikes the water with the staff, causing water walls to spring up on either side of him. Look out for the whale shark silhouette as the Israelites slowly make their way through the sea on dry ground. My tiny little nipples went to France. Before being endowed with all God's powers, Bruce Nolan was having a rough time. In Bruce Almighty, Bruce not only misses out on a long wished for promotion that eventually goes to the hated Evan Baxter, but cracks also start appearing in his relationship with Grace Connolly. However, when he finally realizes what he could achieve by means of the power transfer, he decides on a little revenge directed at Baxter. This scene is the result. Sure, it's slapsticky and over the top, but do we really expect anything less from Jim Carrey? When fans don't hate the main character in a horror movie, they tend to root for them to overcome their obstacles and take out the bad guys. The Ring 2 saw this type of scenario, and fans were elated when Naomi Campbell finally flushed Samara down the well after the two clashed near the end of the film. Seeing Samara emerge from the dark well the way she did, crawling legs overhead while crying mommy, was enough to give anyone nightmares back in 2005, and I for one am glad that she was thrown back where she belonged. That last line is absolutely perfect. I've never hit a kid before. Zombieland was a huge hit in 2009, surpassing more than $60 million in box office revenue within 17 days. It features Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin as survivors of a zombie apocalypse, and follows their road trip as they attempt to flee the undead. The movie also features Bill Murray playing himself disguised as a zombie so that he can move freely around town. He is sadly killed off after being mistaken for a real zombie. Before his untimely demise, the fleeing group arrives at Murray's house, and Abigail Breslin's character asks, "Who's Bill Murray?" This immediately prompts Tallahassee, played by Woody Harrelson, to retort, "I've never hit a kid before. All right. I mean, that's like asking who Gandhi is." After which she immediately asks, "Who's Gandhi?" The sequel, Zombieland, was released in 2019 and features a revived Bill Murray. The loss of three sons. Tearjerker scenes are often remembered far longer than their comedic or dramatic counterparts. The scene with the mother in Saving Private Ryan is a prime example of this. All these years after the movie's release, it still finds itself on many a list of most iconic movie scenes. You can tell from Mrs. Ryan's demeanor as she watches the official military car pull up that she already knows bad news is imminent. Everything that happens after the two men get out of the car is devastating. It is a raw depiction of what thousands of families experienced during wartime and is guaranteed to bring a tear to anyone's eye.